Hi, my name is Anthony Montalta, and here's my poster. So, for my case, I chose the Island Tree School District versus Pico. So, this case took place in New York in 1982. The subject of the case was that the school board of this school had decided to ban 9 books for having vulgar language and being anti Christian and slandering against blacks and Jews and other groups. And um, the question that this raises is, does banning books violate the First Amendment? So Pico here um, was a student at the time, and with 4 other students, he being the oldest, sued the school board for violating the First Amendment. This escalated all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the holding was that the school board does not have the authority to ban books, 5-4. So a very close ruling. The facts of the case were that the Island Trees School District um, were basically acting in the good of the community and on behalf of the parents, basically trying to uphold the values of the community, and they saw that they did not align with the content within these books. Um, but the students still saw it as a violation of the First Amendment because they themselves wanted to read the subject matter within these books despite all the vulgar language and things. That was not the main intent of the books. That was just a byproduct and a means of conveying the story. And that is actually the evidence used by the respondent of the argument here. His main points are that the point of these books is not to spread hate against these groups or to be um, permissive and inciting the use of vulgar language and such, but rather they just use these as tools to portray the meaning of these stories and to use it as a storytelling device. So, just because a word is not a good word and it's used in these books does not give it the school board permission to ban it. Now, he does concede a few points that young children should be protected, especially if the book is of no intellectual value aside. And that's obviously not the case for these books, but he was saying if the point of the book is just a hateful book with no intellectual value and like no growth, nothing, there's no point of the book aside to be hateful, then of course it could be banned. But these books were not the case. They were very intellectual books, and they had good stories and good meaning behind it, and they just simply used these as storytelling devices. So there was no problem, and there's no reason for them to be banned. Now the petitioner um, saw this as in a different way. He agreed with the school board trying to uphold the values of the community and protect the children within these schools because obviously it's not great that children are reading bad words and topics such as these because it could have a bad influence on them. But the point of the respondent was that the detriment that's caused from reading bad words and seeing the hate is outweighed by the benefits of the discussions and intellectual gains that can come from actually learning new things from these books and being able to have arguments and discussions and criticism without completely shutting down and trying to censor. It is good to receive criticism and use it to further discuss and grow and have a proper argument. So, in conclusion, that is the point of all of this, and the ruling held that the books should not be banned, 5-4, and yeah, that's pretty much it.